I'm Keith Holland from Keith Holland Guitars. We were talking recently about custom guitars, and so I pulled off a few here off my wall. These are custom instruments that are ideas of our own here. In other words, we have usually 15, 20 guitars on the wall here at Keith Holland Guitars that we've built as examples for people when they come in to order their own guitars. We sell these guitars as well, but they are for sale, but we have examples of instruments so that people can try the different pickups, the different neck shapes, the different, they can see the different colors of the bodies, the weight of the bodies, the woods in the bodies and the necks, and the different fret sizes, the different hardware, as well as fretboard radius and so on and so forth. So all those options, usually if we'll sell a guitar off the wall, we'll build another one similar to it maybe that has a lot of the options that the other one had, so that people can see and play and hold the options, and they can see what is available out there. This isn't everything that's available, but it's a good starting point, so people can pull a guitar down and get an idea of what maybe get an idea of what they want in their custom instrument. So I have a few examples here. This is one of my A&S guitars. Aged New Stock is what A&S stands for, and this is a very popular thing we do here at Keith Holland Guitars. We build a guitar and then we age it, and so I've been doing this for aging instruments for 25 years, and probably as long, maybe if not longer than what as Fender was doing it. I realized early on that, and some people think this is funny, but it's very true. I actually age people's instruments that they already have as well, commonly. When you remove a portion of the finish off a guitar, many times it can open up. Also, it feels better. It can feel better. It can feel more at home, like it's been played for years. There's something about getting the neck so it's so smooth. It's got nothing that's holding up your hand. There's something about dumbing down the finish, let's say, taking a lot of the finish off and the sheen off the finish. And even, at one time I was just experimenting with just, taking some of the finish off of guitars, and then I realized that as I was repairing people's vintage guitars, that there's something about those old guitars that new guitars don't have. And I realized really it was the lack of finish, and the fact that finish was cracked. In this case, this finish is all the finish is all cracking in certain areas. And we can get a close-up of this later on, but it's actually aged to a point to where chemically I've enabled the body, the finish to expand and contract to a point to where it's actually cracked like the old ones are. And so as a result, the body itself will open up, and the aesthetic of it also makes it look like it's vintage. A lot of people like that idea, but there is something to be said about these guitars when you do this, to where they just feel comfortable, and they can really have a different ambiance to the whole thing, as well as a different tone. And so this is an example of an aged guitar. Looks like a Stratocaster in every ways. It's got one of our bridges that we have made for us specially with the hardened steel saddles, and this one happens to have Kinman Woodstock pickups on them, which are noiseless pickups, and you can see I've aged the covers on the pickups, and as well as the magnets, and then I've signed the guitars, and they have a lot of custom features on them that you won't find on any guitars that come off the wall. So that's an example of a Stratocaster that's aged. Here's one that isn't aged. It's got a custom finish on it. Now the important things that I've done to make this unique in some ways is what I call the salt and pepper finish, where I've accentuated the grain underneath the black to come out, to leap out. But also, this guitar As with the vast majority of the guitars that I build, it has a thin finish on it. I don't like to put a lot of finish on a guitar. I want that guitar to be open. I want it to be resonant, and so that's what I've done here with this guitar. You'll see it has some custom features on it. It's got the locking tuners. It's still got the finish on the neck without the wear. Like the other one had a lot of wear on the neck. It had the finish actually removed and then fine sanded down to 5,000 grit sandpaper, so it's just really smooth. This one has the finish on it, so this one has all the new. It would be like you picked up a guitar new off the wall, and it's important to build guitars like that too. It has my custom Flying S on the headstock, which makes it unique to our guitars. Our guitars come a lot of different ways. You can get the Flying S. We actually will cut that out right there, so that's missing. And these features are all parts of what we do here. Other builders will have their own custom features, but ours are truly custom. They're made for the player, so they can decide how they want the guitar to look. We will steer them in the direction of what they want as far as tone goes. So what I've done here is kind of a compromise on what I would normally do if I aged a guitar. I had an A&S guitar here. I've done all the features of the A&S guitar, but I haven't aged it at all. So I still got a thin finish on it, but it's still very pretty and new looking. And so that's an example of a custom guitar that is aesthetically different, but I still want it to get as much of that tone as possible out of the guitar. And then, here's a truly unique design. This is a custom body. I call this the Sereno body. And it's got a different shape, kind of stratty in some ways. This body comes in its unique shape. This one has actually kind of an F-hole type idea here, where it's hollowed out to a certain extent. It's ash with a Paduke top to it. And then the neck is caramelized maple. It's very, very highly figured maple. A very rare piece of wood. So this is another idea. Aesthetically very beautiful type instrument. And the selection of woods are very exotic and unique in their own way. So this is another idea of a custom instrument that you may decide works for you. You're looking for something very, very exotic and different, and then you can decide what you want as far as that. Now, once again, I've made sure that I keep the finish very thin. This is actually a gun oil finish that's on this, so it's got 3 or 4 coats of gun oil on it, no lacquer. Even the neck, excuse me, has gun oil. So it's very resonant, very open. You can hear that. It's just like, since it is hollow inside there, it's very open. It also has 2 humbucking pickups on it. The other ones had single coil pickups on it. So this is pretty much a straight ahead, rock and roll type guitar. It's going to be very pretty, but it's also going to be have a lot of output and high gain available to it. So. This is another idea of a high-end, custom-built instrument that's very unique. So somebody may come into me and say, hey, you know what, I really like that guitar, but I like the shape of it, and I like everything about it, but I don't like the wood. So I can build a body for them that has maybe a different kind of look to it, maybe a lighter wood. So when a person comes, let's say he sits down and he plays this, I love this guitar, I like everything about it. I love the tone of it, but I'm looking for a different wood. I'm going to tell them the differences. If he says, I like the wood on that guitar over there, I'm going to tell him the differences that are going to happen. I can tell him the differences that may occur because you are going with a different wood. You are going with a different maybe density or a different finish or so on and so forth to the other instrument. So these are important things to discuss with the player. It may be more important for him to have that look, and maybe even though it's not aesthetically pleasing as it would be to go the other wood, maybe it's more important for him to have that tone of that instrument. And so these are the things you have to decide when you go to build a custom guitar. And like I said, if you have experience, we built 1,700 guitars here now. So we've had a lot of experience building guitars. And so these are important things that you need to be aware of when you go to build the guitars, to find that person who does have that experience and the ability to maybe steer you in the right direction. So I hope you have learned something today about custom instruments, and thanks for listening, and thank you for Totally Guitars for putting this on.